Now, the presidents of United States and Brazil are engaged in a war of words.
This is Brazil threatening to reciprocate after Donald Trump announced a 50% tariff on goods from the South American country. The new tariff came amid an escalating row over the U.S. president's support for coup-accused ex-leader Jai Bolsonaro.
Trump has announced that he would slap a 50% tariff on Brazilian imports starting 1st of August, citing Brazil's insidious attacks on free elections, quote unquote, and warning of escalation if the country retaliates. Now, President Lula da Silva quickly shot back, and all of this, of course, was happening on X. Any unilateral tariff increases will be addressed in light of the Brazilian law of economic reciprocity. And then Lula da Silva added that Brazil is a sovereign nation with independent institutions and will not accept any form of tutelage. Now, earlier, Brasilia had summoned Washington's top envoy to the country to explain an embassy statement describing Bolsonaro as a victim of political persecution, echoing Trump's claims of a witch hunt against the 70-year-old Brazilian firebrand and former president.
Trump then announced the new tariff via letter addressed to Lula da Silva. Trump criticized the treatment of Bolsonaro as an international disgrace and said the trial should not be taking place.
He added that Washington would launch an investigation into Brazil's trade practices. Brazil is the second largest exporter of steel to the United States after Canada, shipping 4 million tons of the metal in 2024. Now, it all started with the American president posting in defense of his right-wing Brazilian ally, Bolsonaro, calling out Brazilian authorities to leave Bolsonaro alone. Trump also accused lawmakers of launching an alleged witch hunt against the 70-year-old former president of Brazil.
Trump's comments soon spiraled into a full-blown political slugfest, drawing sharp rebuke from the Brazilian president himself, who set diplomatic niceties aside and hit back at Trump's interference, adding that no one is above the law.
Bolsonaro is in the midst of a trial for hatching a coup plot to oust his liberal opponent and current Brazilian president Lula da Silva after losing elections in 2022.
The Brazilian president had also slammed the American leader over his threat to impose tariffs on countries that align themselves with the BRICS.
A president of a country the size of the United States to go around threatening the world on the internet, it's not right. He needs to understand that the world has changed. You know? No, we don't want an emperor. We are sovereign nations. If he thinks he can impose tariffs on countries, countries also have the right to do the same.
President Trump has stated on social media that he would impose an additional 10% tariff on any country that aligns itself with what he called anti-American BRICS policies. Trump's statement came hours after BRICS grouping of nations, including Russia, India and China, criticized U.S. sanctions, and Brazil hosted the 17th BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, where the criticism came to light.
For more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Listen to this.
President Trump escalated his trade offensive, threatening Brazil with a steep 50% tariff on imports starting August 1st. The move comes as Trump accused Brazilian authorities of unfairly targeting his ally, former President Bolsonaro, over coup allegations. Brazil's President Lula responded, calling the threat, quote unquote, very irresponsible. At the White House, the president also hosted leaders from 5 African nations to discuss trade and regional security. Separately, the administration sent new letters warning more than a dozen countries, including Algeria, Iraq, and the Philippines, that they'll face tariffs up to 30% if no trade deals are reached by next month. Looking ahead, negotiations are expected to intensify as that August 1st deadline looms, with global markets watching closely for signs of a broader trade conflict or perhaps resolutions.